following announcement has been paid for by the new Howell order.
Whether the team is giving us the highest of highs or the bluest of blues, that's all here on Commanders Nightly News. I, of course, am your host, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Let's get to tonight's lead story. So, yesterday, Nikki Javala sent out a tweet, and shout out to Nikki Javala. She does a great job reporting on the team as a beat reporter. She came over from Denver, I want to say 2 years ago, and she's been fantastic. After John Keim, I think she's probably the second most reliable source for information among the beat reporters. And everybody's got their strengths and what they bring to the table, but Nikki be on it. But anyway, she tweeted out about the season ticket prices being increased for the second consecutive year. And that was part of the reason I got out of the season ticket game last year, because, as you know, I had season tickets last year. I was giving away tickets to all the home games. And my goal was to do that again, and my plan was to do it again this past year, this current season. And they rose the prices, and it just wasn't feasible for me. And I had a bad experience with one of the reps, and I was like, okay, if that's how you want to play it, you ain't getting my money. I can be petty. So, and I'm kind of glad I did. I mean, this had to be one of the worst years to be a season ticket holder in terms of the actual product on the field. I mean, my goodness, these were some bad results at home this year. I mean, every single one of them stands for the very first game of the season. And look, we won, but it wasn't a great performance by the team overall, but you won, right? At least you won the game. We haven't won another home game all season, and we haven't even been close in most of these games. I mean, it's been really, really bad at home. But anyway, they sent out a press release, did the Commanders, that essentially said, hey, we're raising season ticket prices. Here's all the reasons why you should purchase, right? And we feel like an increase is warranted. And so, my initial thought when I saw the tweet, I was, oh, okay, they're raising the prices again. Great, And I saw the percentage or whatever, and I was like, God, it's a steep percentage. And so I'm like, the likelihood of me getting season tickets next year might have decreased with the increase. As a wise man once said, I ain't paying the $5. So I never even looked at the tweet, right? I never even looked at the actual statement that was released. I just saw the increase. I saw the heading. And I was like, all right, I'm good. Then someone sent me a message today, and I want to give them credit for this. So let me look up. So at Book 14863562. What up, Book? Sent me a message and a tweet essentially, and he said, they're marketing Howell to ticket holders as the future. Interesting or important? And so that piqued my interest, So, a lot of times on socials, I don't really dig into stuff. You guys know I'm not a big social media guy. So you want my attention, you got to grab it, right? I'm not going to be doing a whole bunch of extra stuff. So him saying that forced me to go read the press release. So now I'm like, oh, okay, wait a minute. Is this something that I need to be a little bit more invested in? So let's take a look at what they released, right? So I'll read this to you, but really what you need to be concerned with is the final statements or so, the last two sentences of this press release. So I'll read the entire thing. As Josh has said numerous times, there are no shortcuts to the top. It's why we'll continue to invest in your experience at FedEx Field. The team is committed to helping you create lasting memories, and this year we work to provide more fan giveaways, improve pre-game entertainment, reconnect our legends to the fans, and better the overall food and beverage experience. But we are just getting started, and you will see our commitment through the offseason. We plan to further upgrade our food offerings, refurbish the stadium, and cut down on travel time to and from our home field. By the start of the 2024 season, we plan to share details on the reinvigorated FedEx Field experience with all of you. Next paragraph writes, on the football front, we recognize we've had challenges on the field this season. That's an understatement. We can't and won't shy away from that. But there are many reasons for continued optimism. Led by an ownership group that has set a vision for building a team that can win sustainably over the long term, we are in an enviable position with quality draft capital, 5 picks in the top 100, as well as ample salary cap space to add to this team. Plus, here we go, here's the kicker. Plus, Sam Howell continues to develop and impress thanks to a tremendous arm, incredible work ethic, and undeniable toughness. For these reasons, we believe the future is very bright for the Washington Commanders. All right? So that got me to thinking. If this is what you're marketing, shout out to Book once again for bringing it to my attention because I would have never read it. If this is what you're marketing to your fans, your season ticket holders, if this is what you're sending out to them, trying to encourage them to re-up on their tickets or to try to get new potential season ticket holders, and this is what you're angling them with, doesn't that sound like Sam Howell is going to be your starting quarterback next year? I mean, again, got 4 games left this year. Anything can happen, yada, yada, yada. The new GM comes in here, and he could have a whole different perspective on what needs to be done. And so, again, I don't think Josh Harris and company are going to force Sam Howell or any other player on this roster for that matter on the new GM. I don't see that happening. If Jonathan Allen wants out, the new GM comes in and he doesn't think Allen is bought in, he may trade him, right? Like, I don't think Josh Harris and company are going to force any of the players on the new regime. I just think they're going to come in. They're going to allow the whomever they hire to come in here and make whatever decisions they feel is necessary. That said, though, you didn't have to do that. You didn't have to include Sam in that. Nobody would have blinked if you would have just talked about your commitment to making the on-field product better. You didn't have to add a name. You didn't have to name drop there. They could have said Terry McLaurin. They could have said Jonathan Allen. They could have said a number of any names, or they could have just left it as a vague statement. Hey, we're going to be better. And they listed all the reasons why they think they're going to be better, right? They've got 5 picks in the top 100. They got ample cap space. They could have left it at that. They didn't have to say, and the continued growth and development of Sam Howell. Like, they didn't have to name drop there, but they did. What does that say? That could mean everything, or it could mean absolutely nothing. You know where I'm going with it. You know what I'm going to. So Book asked, is that interesting or important? It's interesting. At its core, it's interesting because things change. That statement is a fluid one. Most of those things that they said in there are factual, but it's a fluid situation. Things change. 3 months from now, we got a new GM, new head coach, and you hit the draft, 5 months from now or whenever, and they decide to go in a different direction, right? So it's a fluid situation, but as of right now, Sam's your starting quarterback. And I'm going to register it as interesting, heading towards important. Okay, so important is anywhere from 7 to 10. That's important. Anything from 1 to 5 is interesting. 6 is in that middle range where we're getting close to important, but we're still interesting, right? That's where this is for me. It's the 6 on that scale. It's not interesting to the point where it's closer to interesting. It's much closer to important than it is interesting, but it's still interesting at this point. Anyway, I wanted to piggyback off that statement though. I do think that is very telling about, and I told you guys this. I've been told by somebody that I trust that they in that building, they feel, not just they being the people that brought Sam here, right? Ronald and Mark Mayhew and Marty Herney and company, not just those, but the higher ups, the Josh Harrises of the world, they, and people that are going to be here. They feel like Sam has done really well considering the circumstances, right? For whatever it's worth. Doesn't mean a thing. Because, again, the new GM is going to, I think, have complete control over this roster and what goes on with it. And, again, Sam is not guaranteed anything. I really want to see him put his best foot forward. If we're being honest, I really want to see Sam shut the door on any conversation with these last 4 starts. And it's going to be tough because where we are as a team, quarterback is one of the most dependent positions. You can't do your job effectively if the guys up front don't do their job effectively, if the play caller isn't putting you in the best positions to succeed, coupled with an offensive line that is compromised. It's just tough, right? And then the receivers have to run the correct routes. They have to run them at the right depth. They have to get open. They can't let guys jam them up at the line of scrimmage and reroute them. They can't be in the same area. Like, there's so many things that, goes on. But Sam has to do his part, too. When there's an opportunity, he's got to deliver a catchable football, right? When there's an opportunity for a deep shot, he can't miss, right? So it's all of this stuff, but I would like to see him finish up the season strong. But here's one thing that I don't think a lot of people take into consideration when we talk about quarterbacks. We look at all of the surface level stuff, touchdown passes, interceptions, completion percentage, did this guy pass the eye test, et cetera, et cetera. But one of the things I don't think people really value enough, and it's one of the most important things, it's toughness and the ability to just be available. Do you realize since Kirk Cousins left, we haven't had one quarterback start and finish the season? Not since 2017 has a quarterback started and finished the season here in Washington. Like, I think a lot of you take that for granted. You took Kirk Cousins for granted because he wasn't clutch, which, again, the numbers don't suggest that. Now, we've seen the moments where he didn't come up big, but I watched enough of Kirk to know that was a misnomer. That was something that people made up because there were certain instances where he didn't get it done. And there were enough of them where he didn't get it done that it was frustrating, but he also had moments where he got it done. And I don't need to go down that road because I don't need to go down that road. Okay, it's a losing battle. I'm not going to win, and it's no reason for it. But Kirk was tough as nails. And if you watched that quarterback show and you saw what he was going through that year as the Vikings won the division and was one of the better teams in the NFC, he had to go through a lot to play on a weekly basis because he was banged up, but he played, right? This is the first year with the Achilles injury that he just sustained. This is the first time that he's been really hurt and missed significant time in an NFL season due to injury. He's a tough cookie. And one of the things that people don't really give quarterbacks credit for is being tough. Look at all the quarterbacks that are out for the season or have missed significant time this year. I mean, there are teams on third quarterbacks right now. Look at the Jets. Look at the Browns, right? The Rams have had Matthew Stafford yo-yoing in and out of the lineup. The Jets are a mess, right? I might have mentioned the Jets already, but I mean, we could go on and on with the teams that have had to do things. The Giants, right? I mean, there's so many teams. Kyler Murray, missed the first 9 or 10 games of the season for the Cardinals. 8, 9, 10 games of the season or whatever it was for the Arizona Cardinals, right? Kenny Pickett is out now for the Steelers. And we can just keep going down the list of teams that have had to play and start multiple quarterbacks. Not us. Our guy's been sacked more than anybody in the league, and it's not close. And a lot of you were concerned about Sam, and it's not just the sacks. Sam is running the football. Out of necessity, he's taking off and running, and he's taking even bigger shots sometimes when he runs. And he pops up every time. They tried to take our guy out in the first game of the season on the first possession. They tried to take our dude out. And he popped up. They tried to take our guy out in the Giants game. And he popped up. He's tough as nails. And they said it in that statement, his toughness. And I think that's something that's underrated. You need your quarterback to be tough. You need your quarterback. And I want to see Sam stand back in there and deliver the football. It's tough. It's easy for me to say. I haven't been sacked 58 times. It's easy for me to say, to stand in there and deliver the football. Especially when everybody's yelling at you, you need to get rid of the ball, you need to get rid of the ball, you need to get rid of the ball, you got to get out of there. But all in all, Sam's shown a lot of qualities this year, but I don't think any is more impressive than his toughness. And I don't think he gets enough credit for that. And I don't think people give quarterbacks enough credit for being tough. And I don't think that's attribute is high enough in the things that you look for in a quarterback. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. Anyway, you know that's my guy. I ride for Sam. Y'all know what it is.
New.
In other news,
order.
I had a chance to take a preliminary look at free agency. So many people have been asking me free agency questions, and honestly, I'm stubborn when it comes to this stuff. Like, because I really don't want to be doing this in December. I don't want to look at the draft in December. I don't want to look at free agency in December. We should be talking about playoff football, and that's how my brain is wired. So many people are putting out mock draft. I just can't bring myself to do those types of things in December because that's not what I should be doing right now. So my brain, I have to rewire my brain to think, bro, it's over. Let it go. Start focusing in on the future. And slowly but surely, I'm coming around. I've taken a look at some of these GMs, and I'm thinking about coaching prospects, and now I finally brought myself to take a look at free agency. And a lot of people have been telling me, hey, the pickings are slim on the offensive line, and specifically people were talking about tackle. But I said I'm more inclined to go after a guard in free agency. They cost a lot less, and you can get you a quality guard and keep it pushing. So I went and looked at, the offensive line. I looked at tight end. I looked at safety. Those were the three positions that I told you, it's a preliminary look. Those are positions that I know that we need that aren't as expensive and I'm willing to spend on in free agency. And I'll look at some of the other positions that we need, linebacker and wide receiver is one that I'll take a look at. And the defensive line, defensive end in particular, is one that I'll take a look at. Again, those are high-priced positions, though. Corner is something that we should be taking a look at, but that costs money. Corners are expensive. So are defensive ends. I'm looking for the cheap stuff, right? I'm looking for the interior offensive linemen. They're cheap. I'm looking at the linebackers. They're cheap. I'm looking at the tight ends. They're cheap. I'm looking at safeties. They're cheap. I don't want the high-priced stuff. We got a lot of money, but I don't want to spend it all in one place, right? That said, I looked at the offensive line for free agency. There's nothing there, man. Like, literally, there is nothing. And when I say nothing, I mean nothing out there. I mean, and there may be a couple of cap casualties this offseason, guys that weren't on the list because they were under contract and not pending free agents that may be cut with a year or two left on their deal. And, again, we're going to see a lot of coaching changes, a lot of regime changes. There will be 3 or 4, GM openings. And with that comes people getting cut that we didn't expect, right? Roster turnover. We're going to be a part of that. So, like, Charles Leno isn't on that list. He could be available for someone looking for a tackle, right? So, again, it's not what it is right now. It's what it's going to be in, 2 months from now. It's that's going to ultimately determine if that's a robust market or not. But just at this first blush, yeah, I'm good on both tackle and guard. It's bad, real bad, to the point where I'm like, hey, we got to go after it in the draft, which was my intentions anyway. But I thought I could sneak a guard. Nah, I wouldn't do it if I were you. It's really literally nothing out there. So I moved on to tight end. Took a peek see at the tight end position. I'm good there too. Like, if you want a tight end, you're going to have to get one in the draft. Like, I wouldn't mess with any of these free agent dudes. And, like, Hunter Henry's going to be available, but he's cool, but he's about to be 29, right? Like, I'm good on Hunter Henry. I once upon a time, I wanted him when he was leaving, the Chargers. I'm good now. He spent a few years in New England. I'm a pass. I'm solid. And so if we want a tight end, I think you got to grab one. And Amani Rodgers coming back helps, and draft one. And I think you should be fine, really, with Amani Rodgers, a drafted tight end, John Bates, and Cole Turner. I think you can be fine with that group. Like, it's not like tight end is this dire need. You just need one dude, an alpha, to just head that group. And who knows, Amani Rodgers could have been that guy for us this year had he not gotten healthy. We saw enough flashes in his rookie season where we were excited. And with this offense being as tight end friendly as it ended up being, who knows what he could have done this year. But we can't cry over spilled milk. And look, this staff loves Logan Thomas. He probably wouldn't have got on the damn field anyway, to be honest with you. He probably wouldn't have played. Who are we kidding? But I digress. And then I looked at the safety position. And this is where I want to have a quick conversation with you because we know Cameron Curl is going to be available this offseason. I don't expect Washington to put the franchise tag on him. I don't think they value him in that way. So I don't think right now we have any franchise taggable players. The only guy that I thought would be in that mix would have been Montez Sweat. And he's gone already. So the question then becomes, do they get something done with Cameron Curl before free agency, before he's exposed to the rest of the league? And if they don't, will Cam be a little upset and not even listen to what Washington is talking about and just go out off of the strength of principle? We see guys do it all the time, leave and never look back. Or is he going to, because remember J.D. McKissick, they told J.D., hey, go out here, see what's available, and then, when you get a number that you like, come back to us, and we'll let you know if we're trying to match that. And he didn't do that with Buffalo. And then we was like, yo, JD, we told you to go out there, see what was out there, and then come back to us. We could have matched 2 for $7, right? And he was like, word, y'all have matched that? Because I wanted to stay. They was like, we told you that though, bro. So he came back to us, and then the Bills were butthurt because they felt like we did some, back channel bullshit. But, that's how it goes sometimes. And so I wonder if Cam is going to be like, nah, y'all had a chance. Y'all paid everybody that y'all deemed important, and y'all left me high and dry, so I'm good on y'all. So I'm moving on. So I looked at the spot rack value, and, they usually off. But they give you a ballpark figure. They're not looking to be exact. They're just telling you, hey, here's the top 5 or 4 dudes who were paid around his age, and what the market looks like, and this is what we think he should command. And it's, and they give you a ballpark figure. They put him at $15 million a year. Okay, so I think the deal was 4 years, $61 million. Okay, would you be willing to pay Cam Curl 4 years, $61 million, which is 15? Let's call it 15.25, right? Essentially, would you be willing to do that for Cam Curl? He's going to be one of the more sought after guys in free agency, I think, at the safety position. I don't know how others value him. Again, the plays just aren't there. The numbers aren't there. And so because there aren't a ton of, dynamic plays and game-changing plays, I think that may bring his value down. We've seen guys with high ball production like Chauncey Gardner-Johnson not get a long-term deal at the safety position and have to take a 1-year prove-it deal. He's available. I think the safety market right now, of the positions that I've looked at, again, this is preliminary. I may look at linebacker, I may look at receiver, I may look at, defensive end and be blown away at what is available potentially this upcoming season. And remember, there's still the franchise tag. There's some of these players that you might be excited about may not even be available. Teams may slap the franchise tag on some of these dudes, right? So who knows? But the safety position is one of those positions you feel really confident that teams aren't really slapping franchise tags on safeties for the most part. If there's a position that a team usually is willing to let a guy walk at, it's safety. Now, we've seen safeties get franchise tags over the last 2-3 years. If I'm not mistaken, Justin Simmons got it twice in Denver before they reached a long-term deal. And Jesse Bates III got it in Cincinnati before having to leave to go to Atlanta to get paid. And he's been excellent this season for the Atlanta Falcons. So we've seen, but it takes a high-level safety to force the hand of an organization to franchise tag them, because it's just not one of those positions where you feel the need to have to use your franchise tag. I don't think Cam Curl is in that category of a Jesse Bates III or a Justin Simmons. So I can't see Washington using a franchise tag, but I looked at that position, and just off first blush, I saw 4 or 5 dudes, and I'm like, hey, I wouldn't mind taking a swing at one of these guys. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, he's coming off of an injury, so he's interesting. He's only played in 2 games this season. So that's something to keep in mind. He's been dealing with some issues this year. Got injured in camp and then got injured in the regular season and hasn't really played much this year. But an interesting name to watch out for, and if I'm Tampa Bay, I'm probably going to franchise tag him, is not Michael Pittman, is Antoine Winfield Jr., right? He is right around the same age as Cam Curl. I think Cam Curl is going to be 25 here shortly. He's 24 in like 7 months or so. And I think Antoine Winfield Jr. is 25 going on 26. Still relatively young, prime of his career. He's a ball hawk. He's a playmaker. He's around the football. And if I'm Tampa Bay, I don't let him leave. And I don't think they're going to. But he is a guy that I would be interested in. And I wouldn't. And so his market, according to Sport Rack, is $16 million. I'd pay the extra $1 million per year to upgrade the playmaking ability and the speed, because he's faster than Cam Curl as well. I'd pay the extra $1 million to get a guy that is a ball hawk and a playmaker and offers a little bit more, punch and bang for your buck, so to speak, from an athletic standpoint. I wouldn't mind paying a little something for Antoine Winfield Jr. to kind of revamp that secondary, to kickstart it at least. You could go back to Cam Curl, and I'm asking you, this is the question I'm asking you essentially. Would you do Cam Curl for 4 for 61, which is 15 and some change, or would you up that by $1 million per year, so $4 million extra, and go say 4 for 64 with Antoine Winfield Jr.? What says you? All right. Or 4 for 65. All right. What says you? It's an interesting conversation. And there are other guys that you may not have to pay as much for that are available, i.e. Jordan Whitehead, who's with the Jets, who's also a ball hawking safety, used to be with Tampa Bay, very good in coverage. He's going to be I think the safety market is rich. It usually is. If you're looking for, a guy that necessarily didn't work out with his last team. There's another sneaky name on that list. The Indianapolis Colts have Julian Blackmon, who I liked coming out of Utah. He's played really well for the Colts. He'll be available. I think he's got 3 or 4 picks this year. So, Geno Stone, I think, is more of a byproduct of the Ravens defense. He's got 6 picks this season. I remember when he got his 4th one, I was like, Geno Stone has 4 picks. And then I've been watching him ever since, closely. And then he got his 5th one. Then he got his 6th one. I'm like, this dude stays around the ball. I think he's a byproduct of that Ravens defense. I don't know if it's just Geno Stone's a beast, right? But these other guys like Blackmon and Whitehead and Winfield Jr. and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, these guys are ball hawks, and they have a knack for being around the ball, but they know how to play that position, right? So I think the safety position is one to take a look at in free agency, personally. The sad state of affairs here is we've spent draft capital, lots of it. It feels like Percival Butler and Quan Martin, and Defoe. We've spent draft capital on that position over the years, and it doesn't seem like it's enough right now. But anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there. Cam Curl or Antoine Winfield? Are you comfortable? You could even remove Antoine Winfield from the conversation and just answer this question. Are you comfortable paying Cam Curl $15 million a year? Is that a good number for you? Or is that too much? Then if you want to extend that conversation and then start, asking yourself, do I want to pay him 15 or do I want to pay a guy like Antoine Winfield 16? And the number may end up being more. The cap is going to inflate this year, and that 15 for Cam might end up being 17, and that 16 for Antoine Winfield might be closer to 19. We don't know what those numbers. Again, Spot Rack is just giving you a ballpark figure. When they average up the guys at that same position, who have gotten paid at that similar age, that's what they're doing, right? We'll see. But that's the question that I have for you. Leave it down in the comments section. Anyway, that's going to do it for me. Your man Louie T here on Commanders Nightly News. I look forward to chopping it up with you guys And we will talk again tomorrow. And I think I'll take a look at some of these other positions in free agency and report what I find and what I see, and if there's any players that intrigue me. These are going to be ongoing conversations. That's why I'm not in a rush, so to speak, because we got plenty of time, man. Like, literally, this is all we're going to be talking about the rest of this season, you know, and then into the offseason. You know, GM, head coach, coordinators, etc., free agency, our guys that are up, guys that are out there, and then you then move to the draft. And so we're going to have plenty of time to talk about all of this stuff. But I do want to pop the lid on this, right? Pop the top on it and get the conversation going. So this is the time. We're on a bye week. Why not? So I'll see you guys next time. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Hopefully I see you at the end of Thursday Night Football. I don't blame you. Man, is it going to be a bad game. But somebody's got to win it, and I think it'll be the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Patriots stink bad. Anyway, I'll see you guys tomorrow for Commander's Nightly News. You know what it is. Post up. Take command. Have a good one.
Here comes the Diesel. Here comes the Diesel. There's the snap. Hand to Riggins. Good hole. He's got the first down to the 40. He's gone. The 35.